I'd like to invite our next speaker, Kags, who is the Executive Director at the Open Institute. Please come on here and give us your address. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Good morning. As you heard, my name is Kags. Please forgive my voice. I don't live in Nairobi, and the cold, well, I live in a much warmer climate. I want to tell you about my career as a stalker. I have stalked 5 people in this career. And it all started in a supermarket. How many of you have gone to a supermarket and you are told to give your number to the teller? Yeah? Have you done it? Yeah? So they ask, what is your number, so that then you can pay, or for your points at Naivas, yeah, or a Quick Mart, right at the place where you're paying. Have you done it? So I'm standing behind you. What's your name? Yeah, Edita. So I'm standing behind Edita, and Edita gives her number to the person, 0722000000. I, of course, don't know Edita, but now I've got her number. So I go to my Truecaller, and I type that number, and it tells me her name and her email address. So I use that email address and her name to go on Facebook. I find out that Edita lives in Ruaka. I find out that she works in a hotel. I find out that she went to Strathmore. I find out that her boyfriend is called Sam. I find out different things. Then I go to Instagram, and I see pictures of her in shags in her rural areas. For those of you who are not Kenyans, I see where she comes from, and I see that her mother passed on. Sorry, I know your mother. I see her mother passed on, and there's a picture of the eulogy. You know that book that we do in, I don't know whether they do it in other countries, but in Kenya we do a book with a picture of the person and all 3 names of the person. So now I have her mother's maiden name. Okay? Are you guys tracking what information I'm getting? Then I go to her LinkedIn, and I can see all the places that she's worked before. Okay? On her Instagram, as I was scrolling, she had taken one picture posing in front of her gate in the estate that she lives in. The estate looks like Nyayambakasi is very distinct. For those Kenyans who are here, Nyayambakasi is, I think, the largest estate in Nairobi. And it's very distinct. Its look is very distinct. And I can see her house number. I have all this information. What could I do with it? I could go and hack her Instagram and change it, because I have her mother's maiden name, and one of the security questions it will ask is one of those. I know where she went to primary school and to secondary school and to university, because it's on her LinkedIn. I know where she's worked before. I kind of already can tell. Oh, on Facebook I found out what her birthday is. So literally with all of this information, I could do anything I want with her information, right? And you wonder how we are hacked. I did that again, this time with a guy. And I found out a lot of information about him. Most importantly, somehow I was able to know where he banks. Okay? Just as I was going through the Googles and the whatever it is, I was able to know where he banks. By the way, all of these things that I'm telling you, I figured out of the supermarket in the car within 30 minutes. Within 30 minutes, I had all of this information. So when I found out where he banks, and I had his number, So I called him the next day. I said, hey, Bernard, can we have a coffee? He says, who are you? I said, I know you because, you used to work at development initiatives. And I see, so he says, yes. So I said, yeah, let's. So somehow I made myself really familiar with him, and he agreed to have coffee. So we met at his local place, and I told him how I knew him. He wasn't worried. He was surprised, and he was wowed by the fact that, wow, technology can do so much. What do you want to bet if I had had coffee with Edita and I gave her that information, should have the same reaction? Ladies in the house, I think you're all freaked out by this information right now. Yes? Right? Freaked out by it. Because of the fact that this is... Now, imagine that our people are actually taking pictures of their children in uniform. Imagine that our people are taking pictures of their children in uniform next to their school, and worse, another picture at home next to their house number. Imagine what is happening. At the Open Institute, we spent a little bit of time 2 years ago where we sent some of our young people out into the streets and asked them to define a couple of things for us. We learned that cookies are confectionaries that are sweet, that are taken with tea. We learned that data is the airtime that you buy so that you can browse the internet. That's what people know. And we had this over and over. We sent guys to Nairobi, to Central Province, we sent guys to Rift Valley, and this is the information they had. Cookies, Sini biscuits, right? Because we realize that our people don't know these things, and our people go to... How many of you have been to that building where you've given your information on the Book of Truth? So you know the Book of Truth? Your name, your ID number, your phone number. With those three things, I have everything about you. If my career as a stalker is made, right? With just those three things, I could do everything. I have gone to hotels. Esther will remember that we once went to a hotel for this conference thing, and they were writing our information on a piece of paper. Not even on the Book of Truth, just on a piece of paper. So we asked them, so what's going to happen to this piece of paper when you're done with it? The Askari was really honest. He says, I don't know. Just give it to the Wadosis and we forget about it. This is what the truth is. This is how our data is being handled. And our people don't know. So what we have been doing with ourselves, I don't know whether that is going to work, is that we have had a campaign that we did 2021, and we're doing it again this year. And the purpose of that campaign is to just go basic on people and say, your data is important and you need to hide your nakedness. It's called Ficha Uchi. Hide your nakedness. Is it going to work? Well, somehow that doesn't work. But, and somebody will figure it out so that I can show you what it looks like. But I would urge you to please spend a little bit of time and go online, hashtag Ficha Uchi, and just look. It's for those of you who are not necessarily Kenyans. Ficha is spelled in the way that it sounds, Ficha. Uchi is UCHI. Hashtag Ficha Uchi. What we have been doing with that campaign is going online and just talking to people and telling them the really basic information about where they expose themselves and how they expose themselves and the dangers of that for their own lives. What is interesting is that the first iteration of that campaign that we did reached more than 5 million people. And then we saw people starting to ask the question, ask the question, at the Book of Truth, what's going to happen with this? Because the one thing that we need to get our people to ask more and more and more is, where are you taking my data? You go to the club, you're hanging out in the club, somebody takes a selfie, but you're in the background, right? You didn't want anybody to know that you're in the club. Suddenly, the guys in your church fellowship know. Right? These are the complications of our lives. Now, as I was listening to Nima's presentation, I realized that some of these things are not, they're not terrible harms, but some of them are. And some really terrible things are happening to people. People are losing money out of their accounts. You wake up in the morning and every cent that you have is gone. People are losing children. One of the organizations that we support is called Missing Child Kenya. I was surprised to hear that there are some of those parents who lost their children, who lost them simply because there was an Instagram photo. And I was able to go to your child. Imagine this. I was able to go to your child and say, "Hi, Nema. I'm your mom's friend. Let's go." And baby goes. Some harms can be tragic. What we have to do is to make sure that data stops being so elitist. We have to make sure that even as we are discussing data governance here, when we go back, we actually try and figure out how the rest of the world will interact with the idea that data is not a biscuit, that cookies are not a biscuit, and that it actually means something for them to write their true numbers on the Book of Truth. Thank you very much.